I call the Marlington Local School District Board of Education regular meeting to order on September 17th, 2020 at 7:00 p.m. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Reading of the mission statement. In collaboration with staff, community, parents, and students, the Marlington Local School District will develop lifelong learners who understand and apply knowledge and demonstrate excellence in pursuing the highest standards with effective intervention to challenge every student. Dr. Main, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Gabrick,
Here.
Mr. Hagan,
Here.
Mrs. Humphries,
Here.
Dr. Mason,
Here.
Ms. Stevens,
Here.
This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. Adoption of the meeting agenda. Are there any additions or corrections?
I don't have any.
Is there a motion to recommend the Marlington Local Board of Education adopt the following agenda for the September 17th, 2020 meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Dr. May, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Gabrick,
Yes?
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Mrs. Humphries,
Yes.
Dr. Mason,
Yes.
Ms. Stevens,
Yes.
approved 5-0.
Public participation. Dr. Main, were any public speeches submitted to you for the board meeting this evening?
No public participation requests were received.
Thank you. Special presentations. Dr. Mike, do you want to handle that?
Sure. Good evening, everybody. We have one of our staff members who reached the master teacher level. This is a designation that the state has set up. And Mrs. Susan Buchheit, I hope I pronounced that correctly, from Marlington Middle, is our person, and we congratulate her. And of course, if we were meeting as in regular times, we would have asked her to the board meeting, but she is watching from home. So congratulations, Susan. Great job. Mrs. Sutton, did you want to add anything to that?
Sure. Mrs. Buchheit's been with the district for several years. This is actually a renewal of her master teacher designation on her licensure. It is a special licensure issued by the Ohio Department of Education. Teachers who meet this criteria must clearly demonstrate 5 very honorable and very hard to achieve areas. Those areas are consistent leadership, focused collaboration, distinguished teaching with a focus on students and environment, and also with distinguished teaching with a focus on content, instruction, and assessment, and continued professional growth. We're very proud of Mrs. Buchheit. We're very fortunate to have her as part of our faculty. So congratulations, Mrs. Buchheit.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I'd like to add to that. My daughter Gracie had Mrs. Buchheit in middle school all 3 years, and she wasn't sure how she felt about the class at first because she was very challenged. But Mrs. Buchheit turned out to be her favorite teacher in all of school. So congratulations, Mrs. Buchheit.
Congratulations, Mrs. Buchheit, on your accomplishment. That's wonderful. Under old business, under new revised, deleted, and board policies, is there a motion to approve the second reading and adoption of the following board policies? And they are listed on your agenda, starting with policy 1520 through and including policy 8800.
So moved.
Oh, second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Gabrick,
Yes?
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Mrs. Humphries,
Yes.
Dr. Mason,
Yes.
Ms. Stevens,
Yes.
approved 5-0.
Under new business, COVID-19 resolution, Dr. Mike, would you like to make that recommendation?
Sure. This is a recommendation that from our legal counsel and also from our ESC that other boards are doing. And I'm just going to read the recommendation, and then if anyone has questions during the discussion, I can answer those. So for the 2021 school year only, the Marlington Local School District Board of Education hereby suspends any and all bylaw and policy provisions that contradict local, state, and/or federal laws relating to COVID-19 and authorizes the superintendent to enact the appropriate rules and regulations to comply with any and all local, state, or federal laws relating to COVID-19 on behalf of the board. So basically, the resolution is just giving me as the superintendent the authority to put into place, like often we'll get a change from the health department or from our lawmakers. It has to be put into place immediately. So we wouldn't have to change board policy for those things. And of course, if those things happen, anything, really serious, I would update the board right away. So just in case we have those, it's recommended that we have this policy or this resolution passed by the board.
Is there a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation on the COVID-19 resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Gabrick,
Yes?
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Mrs. Humphries,
Yes.
Dr. Mason,
Yes.
Mrs. Stevens,
Yes.
approved 5-0.
And then also tonight, I have 3 in lieu of transportation for you to approve, all going to St. Joe Catholic School. And those fall in accordance with Ohio Revised Code 3327.01, payment in lieu of transporting students instead of busing them. So I have 3 students there.
Is there a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation for the transportation in lieu approvals?
So moved.
Do we have a second? Was there a second? Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Gabrick,
Yes?
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Mrs. Humphries,
Yes.
Dr. Mason,
Yes.
Ms. Stevens,
Yes.
approved 5-0.
And then I'm going to turn it back over to the board for discussion. At least one, if not a couple of board members have asked to put on the table the monthly board meeting schedule and the number of meetings per month. So Mrs. Gabrick, I'm going to turn that discussion back over to you.
Okay, I'll open that for discussion at this point in time. The board meeting schedule in regard to, we're currently meeting the first and third Thursdays for regular meetings twice a month. I'll open it for discussion.
Dr. Shepler, do you know if there are any other school districts that have 2 meetings a month?
I think I can answer that. I'm not 100%, but if there is one, it would be Canton City. At one time, Canton City was having 2 meetings per month. To my knowledge, no locals are doing that.
Well, Marlington has had a history. I mean, in all the 15 years on the board, we have had 2 meetings a month. We've had a special meeting and a regular meeting. And then just this year, we transitioned to 2 regular meetings instead of having the special and the regular. So that has been the history of Marlington, to have the 2 meetings a month. The only thing different is the actual schedule of it. And of course, it's our goal to be productive and to keep things moving forward for the district.
Having one meeting though, or having them both at one time is far more convenient, I would say, than having taken 2 evenings. That's my opinion. I think that it would be better just going back to one a month. I think that would probably be better for administration. That's my guess. Always heard that that was kind of a hectic thing to prepare for 2 different evenings, be away another night. So, I mean, it would just make sense to go back to what we were doing.
I just feel the 5:30 meeting, just, and this is just coming from my standpoint, the 5:30 meeting is very hard for some of us that work the 9 to 5 shift or the 8 to 5 shift. So that's the only struggle on my end. I mean, I can make it work, but also just also feel that since we've been meeting the 2 meetings a month, it has kept us very productive on things that's been going on in the district with Marlboro, with, you know, the COVID, and also it kind of eliminates the special meetings because then we already know that we're meeting every other week. So maybe sometimes we table something and we have enough time to go ahead and do it the next meeting versus having to call a special meeting and trying to organize all of us together to make a decision. So for me, I feel being transparent with the community too, that every other meeting is quite nice.
Yeah, I'd add on to that we had previously voted to go to 1 meeting a month. And when we did that, we ended up having to call special meetings in place of those meetings. Practically every meeting that I know that we've canceled, we've ended up having to make up in a special meeting anyhow. So I think at this point, I'm comfortable having the 2 meetings a month. I know there's a lot of discussions that have to take place in our meetings regarding upgrades being made at the other 2 elementary schools, as well as work that needs done at the high school. Once we get the ball rolling on a lot of those things, I think it would be the time then to switch back to maybe 1 meeting a month.
Well, I look forward to those discussions then on the upgrades to the other schools and the high school. I'll make note of that and look forward to those discussions then.
Any further discussion on the number of meetings per month?
Dr.
And
Mike,
then,
Dr.
ahead.
Mike, do you have any preference either way?
I don't. I mean, we'll do whatever the board wants to do. We'll prepare however you want. So I'm okay either way.
Are there any hurdles as far as having 2 a month versus 1?
Well, the only hurdle, it does take a little bit of prep time, but you know, that's what we're here for. You know, being honest, it does take some time to prepare for 2 because we just get done with 1 and then we just start on the other. The only other piece, sometimes the first board meeting of the month, there's not a lot of that we can present, you know, and you know, but that's just the way it is. That's the way it happens. So.
Well, suggestion I might have for the first meeting a month is it'd be nice for us to get back to recognizing students, and it was nice to recognize Susan tonight. We could recognize other teachers' accomplishments as well as start getting building reports and that sort of thing. If we could maybe schedule those, get back on track with those and schedule those for the first meeting, then the second meeting when we have the extra, you know, financial reports and personnel reports to vote on, it wouldn't be as long on the second meeting.
We can do that without a problem. We can do that.
Okay, the second bullet point here is social media. I'm not sure what the suggestion was on that. Is that with the impact group that you want to?
Yes.
Okay, you want to start out the discussion on that?
This one's mine, Mrs. Gabrick, and then anyone else can comment.
Okay.
So Lee and I and Carol have had several meetings with the impact group, and they are helping us. Our Marlington Local Schools Facebook page is going to get kind of a facelift. And we are now Marlington Local Schools, the official Facebook page of the Marlington Local School District. And we are going to have several spotlights on there. Not only can we highlight achievements, we're going to have a rumor control section on there. So, you know, I want to let the board know and the folks that are listening at home as well, you can call me anytime if you have a question, if you're hearing a rumor. Call me for clarification anytime. But for those that aren't comfortable, we'll put that there on the Facebook page. And that's not unusual with the school district. And then we have a couple of other ideas that will probably transpire here. I have to say, I'm not the most adept at Facebook. So I've been learning a lot about what an administrator of a Facebook page can do, and how we do that. There's a lot of nuts and bolts. But being a teacher at heart, I'm a lifelong learner. So I've been excited about learning those things. And we have a great person at the Impact Group that's helping us. She drives out and sits with us. And so we're rolling. So the page is there. It's a branch. It's the same sort of page that we had before. You should still, if you were friends with that page, have it. It's just getting a facelift. Any questions or any comments or anything you would like to see on that page?
And I would like to see, the accomplishments of the school and our students, teachers, that sort of thing. I think that would be good. But I think we're covering probably some of that as well on our district page as well.
We are. We'll have those same things on our website. And then Mrs. Sutton, you'll have to correct me if I get this wrong, but Facebook, is it Instagram that also owns Instagram? So quickly, the posts things will also automatically go to Instagram. So for those that prefer that, we'll have that as an option as well. And that it makes it easy. It's the same company now. So once we get used to that, we'll have the postings on Instagram as well.
So will we have pretty much the same exact content across both platforms then?
I think in the beginning it's going to be the same because you have the ability to make it as such. But then if we feel like we need to put anything different on Instagram, we can. Or if we talk in the future and we feel like I should have a Twitter account so that I can tweet out brief things, we can do that. So we're working on those things.
Okay.
And for those in the public that don't know or didn't hear the last time, our motto, our theme for this year is Marlington in Motion. And so that's our new hashtag Marlington in Motion. And we're excited about that. And we're excited about moving forward.
Is there any further discussion on the social media? I want to thank you for your work on that. I think that's going to be good for the district and a good opportunity to share information.
Thank you.
Treasurer's agenda, Dr. Main.
Thank you. The first thing that I want to address, I've had a few requests for an update, just where we are financially, and in reference to the students here, etc. I'm going to ask Mr. Davis from our technology department if he would pull up a couple reports that these are public reports on ODE, and I just wanted to walk through that. Sometimes we segment things, and I just wanted to go through and look at just a couple highlights with you. Mr. Davis, you pull that up?
Yep, you should be seeing it on your screen now. Hopefully.
Not yet.
Okay, let me go at this a different way. Best laid plans. Okay, let's try this.
All right, that's great. Thank you so much. Like I said, these are just a couple reports, and sometimes we segment things, and I just want to run through it and kind of put things together and make them fit. If you look at this first one, this is a comparison report of FY20, the June Foundation support, versus July 1st, which is FY21. And I just want you to, I want to call your attention to A, which is the same numbers, same figure. But then, Mr. Davis, if you could go down to M really quickly. Okay, so here on M, you'll see that we are going to be receiving a little bit, some more funds. It's an increase. And if you could go back up, I'll show you where that is. That's in B. If you look at B, we have a sizable increase. Thank you. Great pointer. Yeah. Okay. So you'll see that we have an increase in our student success funds. And you'll also see another increase there. You'll also see some decreases down on G for our ESC. Okay, so that's where we come up with about 300,000 more. I want to also call your attention to H1, which is our open enrollment, and H2, which is our open enrollment out. So when we're looking at kids, more kids are choosing to come into our district than are open enrolling out. So in other words, we're doing something right because kids are choosing to come here and get educated. So that's just a congratulations, because we do a great job. If you see, it's almost twice as much. And I'm going to show you, Mr. Davis, if you go to the next one, the ADM, and bring that up and go all the way down to the bottom. To the third page. Here, okay, right here where it says after funded FTEs, you'll see here where it says student funded in, student out. So you can see we have quite a few students coming in versus open enrollment going out. And I just wanted to make those two connections to the funding and the actual student FTEs, or how many students are coming into our district. Again, I just think that is just a reflection on what great education they're getting here. Now I want to take those two pieces and I want to look at the last document. I promise this will be the last document. And that would be the statement of settlement. And I just wanted to bring this up because this is a September statement. And as you can see, if you look at A, we're seeing the same number there, okay? October, we may see some flexibility or some movement in those numbers, but at this time, we're still funded as we were pretty much last year. And again, the student wellness, etc. I want to go down though to I. Do you see there where it says 477 and 478? Those are our purchase services. So you're seeing a sizable amount, or what looks sizable going out in a purchase service. But I just want to call your attention to the open enrollment adjustment above it. We don't always put those side by side to show what's coming in versus what's going out. And of course, we do have some community school going out and other places, but looking at public school to public school, more kids are open enrolling in than we have open enrolling out. And again, I just think that is a reflection on on the education that we provide here. This is also, you'll see this, and I don't really want to get into a lot of detail. I just wanted to get very basic because our 5-year forecast is coming up in a couple months, and we'll get into a lot more details here. But I did want to make those connections to where you're seeing. For example, purchase services can be this, it can be people, it can be a postage stamp. So it's a very large area. And I did want to just call your attention to, yeah, we have some, but we do have a lot coming in. Did you have any questions on any of those?
Patty, I have a question regarding the foundation funding. You had mentioned that there will be some change to that possibly in October. And what did you expect that to be the reason for the change?
I don't believe there'll be a lot of a change, but October is when we do our count numbers, and a lot of times we will see some movement. You know, in our community schools and our open enrollment and our, you know, I don't think we're going to have a lot, Mr. Hagan. I really don't. But we'll see next month. I don't anticipate it. Okay. If there are no questions, I'm going to move on to the minutes and recommend the motion to approve the minutes of the following meetings. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
August 6th, August 20th, and September 3rd.
Is there a motion to recommend the approval of the treasurer's recommendation for the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Gabrick,
Yes.
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Mrs. Humphries,
Yes.
or Mrs. Humphries, Dr. Mason,
Yes.
Mrs. Stevens.
Yes.
Approved 5-0. The next one is a motion to approve the financial reports of receipts and expenditures.
Is there a motion to approve the treasurer's recommendation for the financial reports and overview of receipts and expenditures for August 31st, 2020 as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Dr. Mayne, could you help me understand page 2 of Exhibit RRR?
Okay.
Just to make sure that I'm understanding. So I see the grand totals, just so the very bottom, grand totals 8.7 million was the beginning balance. So that was, what was the date of that?
Okay, that was the beginning. That's what we began with for our fiscal year. If you look at the next one, it'll talk about month-to-date receipts, and that's really column 2. You'll want to compare to column 4, how much we're bringing in versus how much we're expending out. And if I can just speak a little bit to that, you'll see some of the checks that went out in the check run. We'll explain some of that. Also, we had some spring stipends. We had some extended days that paid out. We had employee retirement and also separation that also had some payouts. Beginning the year, this really isn't uncommon. You have all your memberships, all your startup, and when we get to the next document, you'll see some of those startup checks. But and the third column, I like to say the third column is really what we spent to date, and I always look at the fifth column in comparison. It's the third is receipted in, and of course the fifth one is how our expenditures for the year. And the next one, which is the 6th column, is our current fund balance.
And I see encumbrances of almost 4 million. So where we end up basically now with the encumbrances figured in is 5.15 million. Is that correct?
Yes.
That is the current.
Our encumbrances are our POs, our purchase orders that we have out. Some of those are for more than 1 month for the year. So yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. If you can just go to the next document, please, for SSS document, you'll see that we had some, let's see, the 4th one down on the 2nd page, just some startup for our buses, supplies, parts, etc. The amount under that is an Apple check that went out for our staff MacBooks. Towards the bottom of the page, you'll see another one, 8th one up. That was some projectors that we bought for our district. So that's what that purchase is. The next page, I would like to just point out, we had some more, of course, bus repairs, bus parts, startup, just making sure we're taking care of our buses, which I failed to mention. We did get that reimbursement. So, and you'll see that next month come through. Also, I wanted to point out the asbestos abatement at Arborough. It's the $16,750. And those are really, unless you have questions about the other ones, those are the ones I really wanted to point out to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Patty, are we in line with our budget, what we have budgeted so far for this year and with anticipated costs?
If we have that coming up on the next one, and I can show you a little bit of an update.
Okay, that's fine. I'll hold off till then.
And you, if you don't, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Are there any further questions? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Gabrick,
Yes?
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Mrs. Humphries,
Yeah.
Dr. Mason,
Yes.
Mrs. Stevens,
Yes.
approved 5-0. I'd like to present next the revenue revisions and also the appropriation revisions, Exhibit PPT and UUU.
Is there a motion to approve the treasurer's recommendation for the September 2020 revenue and budget revisions as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Patty, if you want to give an overview of this.
I can, thank you. If you look at the first page, we just have, the first column is just a set of estimated resources the board had viewed earlier this year. The second one, however, is the certified amounts that were uploaded into our fiscal year 21. So if you turn to the second page, you'll see that we're just realigning those to match what we have in our system. So as you can see, we did the revisions on 8/20. But if you look at the revisions column 9/17/20, this is the one where we have some extra grants that we just need to put in our revenue receipts, and it's actually color coded. So if you look down at the bottom, we pulled those out. Okay, so we have a Stark Mar grant. We have a little bit more going into our Education Innovation Fund. and our Student Wellness and Success Fund, which, remember, we talked about that on the foundation page, the state support, where that was where we were getting a little more money this year. And also the Emergency Relief Fund, our 507. And then we also have our Coronavirus Relief Fund that we talked about last month. And in addition, we just received a broadband connectivity grant. So quite a few grants that we have in here. And if you see our resources after this would be that bottom figure there, which is the 33 million, a little over that. The next page is our appropriations. And again, we're just aligning things to match what our resources were at the beginning. And we are looking at, I wanted to call your attention to Fund 467 in the yellow. If you look up there, we appropriated 542,000 or a little over that, rather than the whole 700. This grant we can use over multiple years. So we're going to use some, and then we're going to go ahead and apply some to next year, save a little bit to use in that area. So that's one thing I just wanted to call your attention to. Any questions?
Funding, is that, do we have a date on that we have to spend it by, or I'm confused about that one?
Okay, on we're talking about the Student Wellness and Success.
Right.
We have been told that it's going to go out multiple years, possibly 3 years. So we're going to go ahead and like I said, save some of that for the following year. Whether we go out any further, I'm not for sure yet. It just depends how long that will last. But it is over multiple years that we can expend those.
So just to clarify, that's a fixed amount, but we can just use it over multiple years. You don't have to use it, all 1 year and 2 year period.
Correct. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Are there any further questions or discussion? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Gabrick,
Yes.
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Mrs. Humphries,
Yes.
Dr. Mason,
Yes.
Ms. Stevens,
Yes.
approved 5-0.
Personnel on the consent agenda. Dr. Mike, do you want to make these recommendations?
Yes. So I have a couple of personnel hires and a couple of resignations for you. The first one is Taylor Morgan, who will be a custodian for us. We have Fran Calvin is resigning as educational aide for the migrant program. And then on your supplementals, we have a resignation from one of our wrestling coaches, Tyler Sifke. And then we have 2 hires for supplementals, Power of the Pen, Caitlin McCoy, and girls assistant tennis coach, Maria Diplo.
Is there a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendations for personnel?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Gabrick,
Yes.
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Mrs. Humphries,
Yes.
Dr. Mason,
Yes.
Mrs. Stevens,
Yes.
approved 5-0.
Are there any announcements?
I just wanted to bring up, it's not really an announcement, but we had discussed about possibly moving back to physical board meetings. I just wanted to let everybody know that I reached out to the local fire department, which has a meeting hall, and they're going to check with their board on the possibility of us being able to use that facility if we're interested. Like I said, they're still checking with their board, but that wouldn't be something that would be available long term. It's not ADA compliant, so it's up on the second floor, so it wouldn't be a good place once we get back to having meetings that are open to the public. But I just wanted to let everybody know that I reached out to them to see if that was a possibility, if we're still looking at going that route.
Okay, the next board meeting is October 1st at 7 o'clock. And that is currently scheduled to be remote. And then the next section on the agenda is Marlington in motion, opportunities for improvement, comments moving forward. I don't know if anybody wants to jump in here with further comments on Josh's topic of the physical board meetings.
I would just like to put out there that I checked on some of the other boards meetings that are meeting in person. They're still not allowing public in the meetings. And basically the only difference is the board is physically by each other in a room, socially distanced. My only take from that, from the view of somebody possibly viewing the meeting, I think that it's beneficial to people since we don't have public attendance. I think the way we're doing the meetings is actually an advantage to the public to be able to see us personally, independently. You can see our facial expressions on those meetings. When you watch them, they're like 50 feet away from the camera. You can't even see who's talking. So I just wanted to put that out there. Obviously, once we get to the point where we can have the public back at the meetings, I definitely think we need to be meeting in person when we're able to do that. But I just wanted to share that with everybody.
And our goal is to have productive meetings, whether we do it remotely or face-to-face. Dr. Mike, do you have any recommendations that you feel, do you feel that the meetings are being productive when we're holding them virtually?
I think they're productive virtually. I see some of Mr. Hagan's points. I would agree with that. The meeting place, if we don't use the other hall, if we just bring the board together, I think we can do that safely in the DLZ at the high school as an option. But I think we've been productive online. And, I encourage anybody in the public to contact us if they want to talk to me or talk to us about issues. We would welcome that.
And when we do go back to face-to-face, even if we do have to limit it to the current 10, which is primarily the board and supporting staff, I believe the DLZ is more beneficial since we'll still have to live stream it because of limited attendance. So I understand Josh wanting to move away from the school to maybe make it safer, but it may be more difficult for us to live stream it because I know Ben has all of our equipment set up at the school. So does anybody else have any discussion on the topic? Are there any other items for discussion under this section?
I just have a question. Dr. Main, have we received a bill from Attorney Markling?
We have not.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion?
I've got one thing for the good of the order. I'd like to compliment our community as we had a wonderful start to the school district. And we, as many people know, we are complying with all kinds of mandates that sometimes change quite rapidly. We're listening to a lot of entities. And I want to say thank you to the folks that have cooperated with us, helped us, given us ideas, been patient with us when we've had a couple of little bumps in the road. But I also want to highlight that we do have to enforce the mandates that are given to us. So that means, especially when we have our athletic events and any other events such as that, we have to enforce the mask order, and we do have the authority to enforce that. So as we move forward, we have to enforce also the number of people in the stadium or in the contest area. So I ask you to continue to be patient with us. We're just we're following orders so that people can be safe. We meet every week. The superintendents meet via Zoom with the health department, so we get the most up-to-date info. We are doing the right things, but we have a ways to go. So thank you for those who have cooperated, and I ask the community to continue that. Thank you.
Yeah, I would just like to add on to that. It's not just that the school has the authority, but we have an obligation to comply with that as well.
And Dr. Mike, the new board policy that we passed in regard to the face mask, as well as the resolution we passed tonight on COVID-19, that's going to give our staff the authority to enforce this, for example, at the sporting events and those type of events.
That's correct. That is
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
I also would just like to say thank you to all of our staff, our teachers, and just everyone who made the first day of school and the first week of school, with all the different things that we're adhering to, such a positive influence for our students. I know just being out in the community this week and in the last week as well, just hearing the positive stories of how wonderful the first day of school really turned out to be with everything that was so uncertain. So just a shout out to all of our staff for making such a great experience for our kids.
Right, I concur with Daniel. That's we wish to thank all of our staff, students, and families.
But I'll be the bad guy here. We can't get complacent as a school district, because when that happens, that's when things fall apart. So we have to stay vigilant, stay up. If we want the kids to stay in school because that's where they're educated best, we need to be vigilant as a entire community to make those things happen. So again, I'm happy the way things have gone as well. I think the faculty and staff do wonderful things. The administration stands on their head to make things happen many times. It's amazing to watch what has to go on to make all of this happen. But we as a community have to come together and say, this is what we want, and we're willing to enforce what we need to enforce, including the masks, including keeping the kids home when they're sick, including all of the pieces that we have to do in order to keep this going, because it can happen. We're showing that can happen in communities all over the place. We're seeing that at Mount Union, for instance, where large institutions are having problems, smaller ones, because of the sense of community. It is working. So if we can continue to do that, I continue to applaud our community for everything that they're doing.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything for the good of the order? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Gabrick,
Yes?
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Mrs. Humphries,
Yeah.
Dr. Mason,
Yes.
Ms. Stevens,
Yes.
approved 5-0.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.